The number 4 might not mean much to most of us, but for our turtle friends, it's basically sacred. 4 brothers, 4 colors, 4 weapons, 4 completely different personalities that somehow just works together. The whole franchise is built on that and has never needed anything else. But of course, there is always that one person in the writer's room who goes, okay, but what if we added a 5th? And over the years, that question has given us some genuinely wild answers. We got female turtles who completely flipped the dynamic on its head. We've got an absolute unit of rage and muscle who could probably dismantle the whole team before anyone even gets their weapon out. And then there are a couple who never made it out of concept art and creator plans. So without wasting any more time, today we are going through every 5th turtle in TMNT history. Let's go! Jennika. To kick things off for us, allow me to start with one candidate who fits in as the 5th turtle. It is none other than Jennika who proved that this ambitious idea could work very well. So, in the beginning, we meet Jennika as a human, as she spends years in the IDV comic run as a Foot Clan assassin and a loyalist to the clan rather than to the Shredder himself. But her backstory gets really dark really quick. As a young girl, she found her father beating her mother and that made her flee to the streets. She then fell in with a boy named Silas, who pulled her into petty crime, and this led to her imprisonment as an accessory to murder. Now, in prison, a foot ninja defended her and trained her in secret. But that friend was killed too, and Jennika eventually found her way to the foot by applying her new skills for exacting revenge. As her story unfolded, the readers genuinely started to become fond of her. In her next few chapters, we see her saga with Splinter, whom she distrusted at first and also saw his mercy as mere weakness. She even secretly worked with his enemies. But after Splinter humbled her in combat, she began to see the problem in her ways. Soon enough, she pledged her allegiance to him and earned the title of Chunin, his second in command. But the more anticipated transformation of Jennika into a turtle comes much later. And trust me, it is a serious consequence. During a war for leadership of the Foot, Karai brutally stabs Jennika, but Leonardo comes right in to save her life by giving her an emergency blood transfusion. We realize that his blood carries the mutagen and his animal DNA. So, as a result, Jennika wakes up as a mutant turtle, wearing a yellow bandana and fighting with Tekukagi, which refers to climbing claws that she gladly already knew how to use as a human. But this mutation seems to be no obstacle to her character in any way. She moves into the part of New York called Mutant Town, where hundreds of people have been turned into animals. She helps found the Splinter Clan with the other turtles and her friend Alopex, and also starts a heavy metal band called Created in Darkness. She dates a mutant pig named Sheena. During this time, she also seemed to have developed some anger issues like Raphael, but was somehow better at controlling her temper in that aspect. In this form, she was tough on the outside, but sweet and caring underneath. All in all, Jennika is truly someone who set the benchmark for an argument related to the 5th turtle, by showing that addition wouldn't be an issue if the character were well executed. Side note, she also headlined her own solo books, and that is something that no other 5th turtle can claim.
Yes! Now that was a strike!
Venus de Milo. Next we have to talk about the one character everyone fought over. Yes, it is Venus de Milo. Well, her real name is Mei P. Chi, and she debuted in the live-action series Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, which premiered back in 1997. It didn't have a long run, as it only ran for a mere 26 episodes before it got cancelled. Many even consider the show to be a strange phase, often seen as a low point for the franchise in general. The costumes were no longer the state-of-the-art handsome creation. The eyeballs got deader, and the expressions got scarier. And in a crime that many young fans at the time never moved past, Fox Kids added a girl. Yes, Venus was portrayed in costume by Nicole Parker and voiced by Lelania Lindbjerg. Her origin goes something like this. She was separated from her brothers during the time she was hatched on the day of their oozing. Splinter, in all his wisdom, simply did not happen to notice her. She was taken to China and raised by a master named Chang Ai, where she learned mystical shinobi arts instead of the brothers' ninjutsu. When she joins the team, she gets her new name based on the classic artwork, which matches the Renaissance naming pattern. She also is seen wearing a braided cyan headband and often relies more on magic than she does on weapons. During this era, the show also seemed to have leaned much further away from the idea that turtles were biologically related, and this was something that fans strongly resisted. Peter Laird hated this character, as we would have expected. His general dislike of the fifth turtle concept shaped Venus's long afterlife, or rather the lack of it. She was buried, mocked and left out of official storylines for years. But here comes the twist. Venus was later reintroduced in the IDW comics as a reimagined version. This here saw a new rendition of her character, which had a major shift away from the live-action TV series one. This rebirth only helped improving the point that even when an attempt towards a fifth turtle is unanimously hated, it is not a concept that could be killed forever.
Tell the others. Tell them you got a new partner. One who knows the true meaning.
Slash. Now let's move to Slash, because this is someone who shows how flexible the simple idea of a fifth turtle can be. Slash is the personification of the franchise answer to the question of what happens when a mutation goes totally wrong. His first appearance is in the original 1987 cartoon, season 4 to be precise. He stars as Bebop's pet turtle, and before long, Rocksteady deliberately mutates him, turning him into this violent powerhouse. He may be seen as dim-witted, but he compensates for that with his physical traits, like being bigger than his brothers, much stronger, and also being easily able to take them all on in a fight. But he's also strangely attached to a toy palm tree named Binky. In any instance where he loses Binky, he goes into a fit of rage. In that first episode, he accidentally gets sent to Dimension X, but he is perfectly fine with it because the rocket has a small plastic tree. I see this to be the most one-dimensional and cartoonish version of Slash as a character. Then came the Archie comics that got hold of him. In that continuity, we get to know that Slash is not really a mutant in the first place. Yes, in fact, he happens to be an alien turtle who came to Earth with Krang. We also get a solid explanation for his obsession with Binky, as we understand that his home planet is lush and filled with tropical greenery. But basically, a whole planet filled with Binky. Now, in this series, he starts on the side of evil, but eventually changes his allegiance after befriending the mighty mutanimals. And when those characters are killed off by the villain Null, Slash decides to seek revenge for them. He teams up with the Turtles and even sacrifices himself to save them. That is the first time we see heroic instincts from Slash. We then move to the 2012 CGI series, which gave his character another reinvention. Here, he starts as Raphael's pet turtle named Spike. Spike happens to overhear Raph's angry rants about his brothers and grows to hate them as much as he loves Raph. When he eventually mutates, he becomes a giant spiked turtle and renames himself as Slash. In this form, he expresses his intent to become Raphael's new partner and eliminate the other turtles. But eventually, Raph's better nature rubs off on him. He turns against his own evil allies and becomes an anti-hero. This led to this show's own version of the mighty mutanimals. Let me also remind you about the IDW comics as well, which gave Slash yet another origin. Here, he's a snapping turtle mutated by Genetics Lab to hunt the turtles. He is mentally unstable and even launches random attacks on people. But then he also forms a bond with Michelangelo, whom he sees as his hero. Later experiments using his own DNA calm him down and make him smarter. Soon enough, we see him become a hero in his own right, and the unofficial fifth turtle of the group. Now, across all these versions, we see the constant trope of Slash coming back. And this opens the gates to the idea that the fifth turtle can also emerge from a former monster who has reformed his ways.
Hold it in your mouth. Go ahead, wolf it down, scarf it.
Toka. The next fifth turtle candidate is much different from the rest. Here we have Toka, who I personally consider the Dark Mirror answer to the Core 4. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, from back in 1991, Shredder forces a scientist named Jordan Perry to expose a snapping turtle and a wolf to the ooze. As a result, we get Toka and Razar. But it turns out that Perry secretly sabotages the process, which leaves them with the mental capability of infants. This only makes them both dangerous as well as comedic, but in an unusual manner. They are huge and fierce, but like Slash, they're also completely dim. They cause chaos, eat everything in sight, and burp instead of mutating correctly. By the end of the film, the turtles are seen to have used an anti-mutagen to revert them to normal animals. Overall, Toka is quite compelling because he is a turtle mutated by the same substance as his brothers. But unlike them, he was raised for destruction instead of family. There is also the 1987 cartoon that brought Toka back in a season 7 episode. And in this version, he and Razar are two of many mutants who have gone out of control, who were initially created when Shredder unleashed mutagen at a zoo. Here, they are more intelligent as well as more eloquent, even though Toka still seems to have an uncontrolled appetite. Then comes the 2003 series, which gave them another unique twist in the Turtles Forever special. where they are depicted as foot ninjas who are transformed into mutants by the Outrome Shredder. They even attack the turtles, but eventually do get knocked out by the party wagon's firepower. Don't forget the 2012 series as well, as that run changed Toka completely by making him an ancient fire-breathing kaiju from another planet altogether, who also happens to be the guardian of a dark artifact while also being the parrot of a tiny turtle named Chompy Picasso. Simply put, Toka is a great character study. He has never been portrayed the same way twice. Call him hard to follow with that number of interpretations he has had, but if you ask me, Toka is most definitely a one-of-a-kind fifth turtle candidate. Lita. Next, we have to talk about Lita, because this is someone who belongs in any conversation about extra turtles. Lita is a female mutant turtle in the IDW continuity, but she is a time-traveling ninja mutant turtle from the future. Originally, she was written as a young albino girl who was abandoned on the streets. And when a mutagen bomb went off in New York, she was transformed into an albino turtle. Then she was homeless and scared and lurked outside a shelter. Here, Jennika happened to have found her and went on to befriend her. She was the one to come up with the name Lita for her, which was inspired by the heavy metal singer Lita Ford. Later, a grown-up version of Lita appears with a time scepter. She brings dangerous warnings of a future where the Splinter Clan and the Foot Clan go to war, where Jennika kills Karai and where Lita's family falls apart. Then, she is seen leading the Splinter Clan to rescue Karai from a helicopter crash while trying to change the future. Lita is the 7th mutant turtle from the IDW comics, the 3rd female turtle overall, and arguably the first turtle to allow the writers to have a bit of fun with the concept of time and dimensions. Big Mama's assistant. Now, consider this part of the video a checkpoint. All these 5th turtles were mentioned up until now on one side, because from here we get to the melancholy versions. These are the ones that almost existed. In Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there is a character known only as Big Mama's assistant, who first appears as a cameo, then makes a brief full appearance in the episode called Many Unhappy Returns. She wears a long black hooded outfit, a white mask with a red design, and metal claws, and is clearly a mutant turtle. But the show itself never completes her reveal. But after the whole project was cancelled, the creators started talking. In a fan-hosted Twitch stream in August 2022, executive producer Andy Suriano explained that the assistant would have been revealed as a lost sister at the end of season 2. That would have led to a 3rd season about a new quest for the other siblings. This would have seen the turtles split into 2 groups, with each searching for a different missing sibling. One of the show's storyboard artists pointed out that there is a shot in the earlier episode where you can see 6 mutation chambers, not 4. So there were 6 baby turtles in that Genesis event, but Splinter was only able to save 4. The other 2 seem to have been raised by the villains Draxum and Big Mama. Now, fans often call this missing sister Frida, which is in line with the show's artist naming pattern. The staff writer, Ron Corchillo, confirmed that she would have been named after a female artist, possibly Frida Kahlo, and her character would have been a very disciplined ninja, who may get super serious at times. Which would even make her unintentionally funny as well. She's someone who would have been brainwashed as a child and required the turtles to win her back by helping her see the truth. But none of that ever made it to the screen. The sad part is that all that exists for such a well-written character are a few seconds of footage, some creator comments, and a lot of what-ifs. Kirby. If you think that is unfinished, then allow me to introduce you to Kirby. In the mid-1990s, Kevin Eastman developed concept art for a proposed 4th live-action film. Among the designs was a 5th turtle named Kirby, which was a clear reference to comic book legend Jack Kirby. The surviving concept art shows a much rougher, more angular and aggressive-looking turtle than the core 4. In different drawings, we see his bandana color shift between white, black, pink, and purple. He also has one more finger and toe on each hand and foot than the other turtles. But eventually, the film was completely cancelled. According to the book Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Ultimate Visual History, Kirby could have been used in the next Mutation series, but Saban Entertainment refused to do the show unless there was an inclusion of a female turtle. This led to Venus happening instead, but Kirby was left on the drawing board due to that decision. He survives only as auction listings and reporting on Eastman's unpublished material, and as a character who never got to truly showcase his potential. April O'Neil. Among the most unexpected entries in this list is a story from the 1994 Archie comic series called The 5th Turtle. And this time, that title goes to the turtle's close friend April O'Neil. The premise begins with a thoughtful intention where we see April wanting to help Splinter by turning him human again for his birthday. To achieve this, she infiltrates a dubious laboratory searching for an anti-mutagen substance. However, things take a wild turn when she is captured by alien Grems and locked up with another prisoner named Perry. The villains decide to experiment on both women using mutagen, which quickly leads to dramatic changes where Perry becomes a flying squirrel mutant and April undergoes a mutation into a turtle. After escaping, April reunites with the team and the story doesn't shy away from the situation. Rather than feeling sorry for herself, she dons a white bandana, grabs a weapon and fights alongside the turtles, genuinely becoming their fifth member. The narrative is brief and unusual, yet it treats the transformation seriously, which ironically adds to its humor. In the end, we see there's only enough anti-mutagen for one cure. Splinter declines the treatment, feeling content with who he has become. April offers it to Perry, but Perry instead chooses to restore April, reversing her turtle form. By the end of the issue, things return to normal, and the episode is rarely mentioned afterwards. This explains why many fans overlook the fact that, at least for one story, April was truly the fifth turtle. Zack. Finally, we have the earliest version of the fifth turtle. Yes, it is the innocent Zack. He is a 13-year-old human kid in a turtle costume who desperately just wants to belong. How relatable is that? Zack premiered in the third season of the 1987 animated series in an episode also called The Fifth Turtle. He is portrayed as a little boy who wants to be a ninja turtle so badly that he puts on a mask and climbs into a manhole. Soon enough, he tracks down the turtles, inserts himself into their mission and causes trouble, but he also eventually helps them out. At the end of the episode, the turtles reward him with a turtle com and officially named him their honorary fifth turtle. But that's not the last of him. We see him return in a later episode, and there again he is treated as an addition to the original team. His older brother, who always made fun of him for believing in the turtles, is called the sixth turtle. In retrospect, it seems to me now that they were just in a great mood to give the title away back then. But all in all, Zack is truly not a character to ponder much about. I would consider him as the first time the franchise as a whole tried to consider the possibility of there being one more. You can safely say that every version that came afterwards, be it Venus or Jennika or Slash or even the ghost of Kirby, is just a different answer to the same question.
Oh, how romantic.
So, what does all this add up to? Well, the repeated attempts to bring a fifth turtle reveal the true nature of the franchise, which is really a foundational core of its success. It's really about finding a family and about four brothers who were thrown together by accident and were never supposed to coexist but happened to love each other. Every added turtle is an attempt to expand that family. While some versions feel forced or like marketing decisions, others earn their place through the sheer richness of their characters. That is because families can grow. It is just that it has to be earned. And that's our video for today. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, share it with your friends, and let us know your favorite fifth turtle candidate in the comment section below. Finally, please subscribe to our channel for more such content. Until next time, take care and ciao.